Okay, so far so good. In this video I'm going to show you, you can tell some of these plants have really taken off in just a few days of being in the grow bags. And these with the tomato cages are each of the single plant per bag. These next 10, due to the fact that I grew way too many plants thinking I was going to be able to get rid of some at the farmer's market. These next 10 here are getting 2 plants per bag. This is 2 days in here. I just put these in here last night. You can see how small these still are. In a couple of days, they're going to be something like this. I mean, this mix is working pretty good, and I'm gonna stop this video and go out there to where I'm mixing it and show you the rest. I had planned on setting my camera up, my phone up on a little tripod, and I was gonna record the process of me mixing up this dirt. And I don't think anybody wants to sit through that long of a video. But just to kind of give you the highlights, this, of course, is my peat moss. In this container here, I've got manure compost, which is a 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. I've got potting soil, just regular topsoil, just regular topsoil that's supposed to be somewhat like my general area, and it's got clay in it, it's got a lot of sand in it, it's got a little bit of wood chips in it, but it seems pretty good so far for what I wanted it for. I wanted it for the sand and the clay and all that. Anyway, from my chair there, oh, and right here, this is what you might call the secret ingredient. This is the mushroom compost, and according to the place where I get this, it's hot. It's really, really hot. And anybody that knows what mushroom compost is, it's heavy on chicken poop and that kind of stuff. Now, it is composted, but not a lot, okay? So it is still hot. Therefore, very, very little of this goes into my mix. And out here, you can see I got my own wood chips. It's wood compost. And you know what that is. They grind up trees and compost it for a few years. And this is old. It's old. It's several years old. It comes from the local township. They do that. But you can still see I've got quite a ways to go. As I mix it, the first thing I do, I take the peat moss and I do it in 2 different containers here. That way I'm doing basically 2 bags worth at a time. Once I get about a bucket and a half or so, and found something good to do with old Bud Light buckets. And once I get about a bucket and a half of the peat moss, 1 bucket of that, 1 bucket of that, and you can kind of see where the fill line is on this scoop, and 3 scoops of that. And depending on what I'm grabbing at the time, about 1/2 to 3/4 of a bucket of the wood chips. Okay, that's the mix. But once I get the peat moss in these containers, I mix 2 of those scoops of the perlite and get it all, I work it all the way through, get it all mixed really, really well. Then I'll add the manure, mix it, mix it, mix it. Then I'll add the topsoil, mix it, mix it, mix it. Each step of the way, I'm mixing it completely thoroughly with my hands. And after I've put that in there, I put a handful of this Job's Organics vegetable and tomato plant food. I put just a closed handful of that in there. And that's the recipe. And the plants seem to be liking it, because believe me, that stuff is mixed up very thoroughly. So there's some of that all throughout. So if it's too hot, it would have already killed them, I think. But anyway, that's how I'm doing it. And since you for sure don't want to sit here, it takes me from start to finish, from when I sit down until when I've grabbed one of the grow bags over there and dumped the buckets in here. Well, just prior to dumping the buckets, takes me a little bit less than a half hour and about 35-40 minutes by the time I've dumped the mixed buckets in there. I say that because the most important thing in what I'm doing is proving to myself that I can do it. And each step along the way, as I take the peat moss and put it in here, before I mix it, I rest. And then I mix that one and rest. And then I mix that one and I rest. And then I add that and I rest. I mean, each step of the way, there's about a 5-minute break for me to just sit here and rest my back. Otherwise, I wouldn't make it. And the best day I've had so far is I filled 10 grow bags. They're 7-gallon grow bags. I filled 10 of those in one day. And I up potted from the little pots out there to the grow bag that was already filled. I did 4 of those. That's my record so far. Today, all I'm doing is filling bags. And then we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll probably be, up potting from the pots to the bags tomorrow. But I just got to do what I can do a little bit at a time, rest my back, and keep going. And I think the biggest thing of it so far is I'm having fun. So anyway, there's that. And just to keep y'all updated, talk to you in the next one. Bye. Just thought I'd add this in. This is the finished mix. It may not show up real good because it's as you can tell, it's really overcast here, and been this way for a few days, luckily, in some ways. But this is it. And you can see it's got at least as much of the perlite stuff in it as most of the stuff I've seen. And you notice the color of it is still kind of light because it's not real wet. I'm using this stuff straight out of the bags. And because if it was wet, I wouldn't be able to move it around and handle it. But it's mixing up real good this way. And once I get it in a bag, that's when I add water to it. But you'll see that the manure stuff is the least expensive thing I can find. Topsoil is the least expensive I can get. The wood compost over there, that stuff was free. Peat moss, that's full price. And I did pay full price for the mushroom compost. But I only got 5 bags of that. And you can see how many bags of everything else there is. But again, this is what the finished product looks like. Now all I got to do is put it in the bags. I did forget to add a picture of what it looks like when I'm done dumping my mix into the bag. And you can see the bag is basically full. But once you shake it and push down just a little bit, it goes down quite a bit. And then once you put the water in there, of course it's going to shrink some more. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I talked about the Job's here. during this first part of the grow time, I'm just going to let them eat, you know, whatever's in this stuff. And then once they start producing flowers, that's when I'm going to add a layer of bone meal mixed with some more something or another in here. And to kind of, because I don't know if you noticed in the first video, but there's about probably a hand width, you know, of space by the time this all settles down. So there's plenty of room later to top it off with the bone meal mixed with some more of this stuff so that they get plenty of that. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Talk to you later. Bye. This is what I'm calling my staging area. This is temporary, but I had to get them off of the porch because that's my primary area to take the plants and put them in the bags. As you see, the porch is empty now. What I'm going to end up doing is, just like this tarp, I'm going to have another tarp over here along this side of the house, and then add tarps as needed, if needed. Like I said, this is the primary staging area to be able to move them from here to over here to this side where the other tarp's going to be in a couple of days. As you can tell, I still got a whole bunch more to put in bags. Anyway, that's it.